From downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We have kept the heat out of the Great Lakes for the 3rd of July. Will we be so lucky for the 4th?
New information tonight on the deadly crash near Saline that claimed the life of a 19-year-old man.
But first, a Good Samaritan helped save a woman shot in the back. But how the story got to this point is what's bizarre. Detroit detectives still trying to figure out what led up to that shooting.
But we do know the shooting happened early this morning on Detroit's west side. But not many people know why the victim drove across a front lawn and why she went to a gas station more than 3 miles away looking for help. That part of the story was caught on surveillance cameras. And that gas station is where Nick Monticelli started looking into this. Nick, so what do we know so far?
Kimberly, unfortunately, there are still so many questions unanswered. If you look at the surveillance video, you'll see this customer that goes in and tries to help this 23-year-old victim who comes in looking for help after being shot in the back. But again, so many questions unanswered. Why did she go to that gas station? Why did she go so far away? Honestly, we don't even know who she is yet. Jennifer Scott was still awake around 1 o'clock this morning. First, she heard the gunshots, then saw the aftermath.
It's about 6 shots. I thought it was firecrackers.
And the damage to the side of the home and a portion of the car are still here. We are still trying to figure out what happened. She told police she caught someone trying to steal a license plate off her car. But we have learned she knows the suspect, and police know exactly who they are looking for. Either way, the 23-year-old victim sped off and went more than 3 miles north to the Valero at Grand River and the Southfield Freeway. You can see the bullet holes in the car and the driver's window shattered. So many think she was being chased.
I think she was getting chased, like she was fearing for her life.
Surveillance cameras inside the station caught what happened next. She runs in, asks for help, and falls down. A customer tries to do what he can.
He took off the shirt and he tried to make her comfortable.
Notice, though, her panic when someone tries to come in. She jumps up. The attendant runs and locks the door, and then she lays back down. We do know, though, that she knew this is a green light station. In fact, she told the clerk,
I feel it's safe. Please call the police. Somebody shot me.
In fact, that gas station has only been a green light station for 1 week exactly. The 23-year-old victim was taken to Sinai Grace Hospital by EMTs. She is in temporary serious condition. She's expected to be okay. And at last check, the 28-year-old male they're looking for, well, I should say they are still looking for him. We are live this afternoon. Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Nick, I mean, going more than 3 miles away for help, though, is a really long way. Any idea why she went that far?
No, no one really knows right now. They're still trying to talk to her. It's possible because she knew it was a green light station, but there are many other green light stations between where the shooting happened and that station. And also the license plate of the car that she was driving, it's registered to a home over 10 miles from where the shooting happened. So we're not sure what was going on there.
Yeah, certainly a lot of questions that remain unanswered, but good thing is she's expected to be okay. Nick, we appreciate it.
Breaking news out of Marysville in St. Clair County. Police are looking for a missing child who they consider endangered. 2-year-old Jaden Harris was last seen with his parents. Seen here, Scott and Crystal Harris. Police don't have a picture of the boy, but tell us he's white and believed to be in diapers. Investigators say the parents took Jaden because CPS had a court order to remove him from the home. The parents are driving a white 2-door 2005 Chevrolet Monte Carlo, similar to this one, with a Michigan license plate number ADA 585. If you know where they are or have seen this car, call 911 or the Marysville Police Department.
All right, now to brand new information we're learning in the crash that killed a 19-year-old driver in Saline.
That teen driver has been identified as Jacob Rogath. He was killed at the intersection of Moon and Bemis Roads. Deputies say the other driver blew a stop sign causing that crash, and alcohol was definitely a factor. Let's get out to Coco McAvoy live. Coco, charges could come down soon in this case.
Yes, Jason and Kimberly, the 35-year-old driver will be officially charged tomorrow. This, of course, after that awful crash that killed 19-year-old Jacob Rogath. It was here on Moon and Bemis Roads where a 35-year-old drunk driver caused a horrible crash at the four-way stop.
There was a southbound vehicle that, from preliminary reports, ran the stop sign and collided with a eastbound vehicle that was eastbound on Moon Road.
19-year-old Jacob Raguth was inside of that eastbound vehicle, along with the 19-year-old woman and 20-year-old man. Deputies say all three of them had just left work when the crash happened. Raguth died from his injuries. The 19-year-old and 20-year-old were taken to the hospital and are now in stable condition. Investigators spent hours shutting down the area, investigating the crash yesterday, as nearby residents observed. Deputies determined the 35-year-old driver who caused the crash was drunk driving.
We need citizens, if they see something on the roadway that's suspicious, veering, whatever, call 911. Because we'd rather have somebody call and it turn out to be nothing than not call and have a tragedy like this.
Now friends and family are left grieving the loss of Raguth as investigators build their case against the 35-year-old driver. And deputies say that driver will be in court tomorrow for his arraignment, and his name will not be released until then. Back to you.
Coco, have family members said anything about the victim yet?
So I've spoken with a couple of his cousins, and they tell me that obviously this is an extremely difficult time for their family because this is obviously the July 4th holiday weekend. They had plans to get together, and now, of course, they're dealing with this. But they say, of course, he was extremely loved and a very, very great young man.
Yeah, certainly a tough time over the holiday. All right, Coco, thanks.
All right, well, if you are one of the lucky ones who had today off, what a perfect day to get outside and enjoy the weather.
The only thing better might be if maybe tomorrow turns out to be even better or just as good.
Who knows?
Ben Bailey would know the answer to that.
Let's see if we can do that. I'll tell you, out there right now, it's beautiful. The only thing showing up on 4 Live radar is just the lake breeze. That's not precipitation. That's just a very sensitive radar picking that up. But there is stuff going on just down to the south of us. In fact, just right up against the state line, looks like there's a shower popped up north of I-80. That severe thunderstorm that rolled through Defiance, though, was no joke. Was enough to blow some shingles off the roof. Nickel and dime size hail. So if you are going to be driving down 75 or anywhere in northern Ohio, do expect those scattered thunderstorms to be going through the rest of the evening. Rest of us, though, beautiful, seasonably mild temperatures down into the upper 60s by midnight tonight. We'll show you where things go for the 4th coming up in a few minutes. Guys?
All right, Ben. An investigation is underway after a quadruple shooting in Pontiac.
The shooting happened at a house on Thorpe Street. That's where 4 people were shot in an attempted armed robbery by 2 male suspects. A 23-year-old victim died from his injuries. The 3 others were taken to the hospital. 2 suspects are on the loose, and detectives are getting conflicting statements from witnesses and victims. If you know anything regarding this incident, please contact police.
It's slow going in the early stages of an investigation into a triple shooting on Detroit's west side. This happened around 3 o'clock this morning. Shots were fired during a party at a house on Hartwell, that's near Fenkel and Schaefer. 3 people were hit and are in the hospital, expected to be okay. Police say the victims in this case not cooperating, which is making it tough to track down whoever fired those shots.
President Trump is heading back to the White House tonight after spending a few days with his family in New Jersey. But it's been a working weekend as he prepares for meetings with world leaders later this week, including one with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He also made time to go on a lengthy Twitter rant about the media and weigh in on a solution for health care. Edward Lawrence is in Washington with more. Ed?
Well, good evening. As always, a lot going on here in Washington. Now, before the president arrives back at the White House, he's working the phones with world leaders ahead of his meeting in Hamburg, Germany. President Donald Trump looks forward to his G20 summit trip later this week, and as president, his first face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. White House officials say the president has no specific agenda for the Putin meeting. Experts agree the Russian president knows exactly what he wants.
He's going to try as much as he can to gain increased influence over the United States through his relationship with President Trump.
The former defense official goes on to say the symbolism of the president stopping in Poland before the summit is a strong signal of support to our NATO allies. Today, more conversations with world leaders ahead of this week's trip, calling Germany, France, and Italy. While he's focused on the summit,
oh, hey, hey! Ho, ho!
President Trump facing growing protests across the country.
I have a lot of patients to take care of. It's an unhealthy presidency for a very sick country, and we need someone to make it better.
Mr. Trump firing back on Twitter today, blaming the media, saying they will be forced to discuss our great jobs numbers, strong economy, success with ISIS, the border wall, and so much else.
The problem is the president doesn't seem to be interested in the policies that are making their way through Capitol Hill, and he's more interested in his public image and what they're saying about him on cable news.
Still, some Republicans worry the president isn't focused enough on fixing health care. While the president now floats the idea to repeal and replace Obamacare later, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he will continue working to do both because the American people voted a Republican majority to see results. In Washington, Edward Lawrence, Local 4.
And President Trump and his family are spending their first 4th of July as the first family at the White House. Tomorrow they will host a picnic for military families on the South Lawn and then watch fireworks above the National Mall from the White House.
Still to come, 2 Orion Township sisters forced to speak up in the middle of their tremendous heartache.
How they are coping after losing both their parents in that devastating house explosion, and why they say they need to set the record straight. Steve?
So this new survey comes out today from some group in New York. It says, worst cities in America, Detroit is #1. Oh man, now you're getting me riled. But I'm not the only one.
They about never even stepped foot in Detroit.
They didn't.
They about never can. They just did it from, statistical.
We'll talk to the guy behind the survey and why a lot of folks around here think he is dead wrong.
Yeah, hold his feet to the fire, Steve. But first, a talented athlete's fall from grace. What former MSU basketball star Keith Appling is now admitting he did. That'll land him behind bars. That's coming up next.
And as we go to break, here's a list of some fireworks shows happening tomorrow and tonight around Metro Detroit.
I was going. New at 6.
A family from Flat Rock with an autistic son, they're jumping around here inside the Sky Zone in Taylor, and they are asked to leave.
I mean, I can understand rules. I mean, I'm obviously following the rules. I understand society has rules, but don't laugh at my child because he's disabled.
The rules part, it's understandable, but was this autistic child laughed at and ridiculed? We'll explain.
All right, Nick, and a theft at a Westland business has police searching for a suspect. What was stolen that has employees upset?
Former Michigan State basketball player Keith Appling is headed to jail. Appling pleaded guilty in court today to carrying a concealed weapon and resisting and obstructing a police officer. The charges stem from an incident in Detroit in 2016. The sentence agreement is 5 years probation and 1 year in jail without early release. Appling will be sentenced next month. Business website 24/7 Wall Street is out with a list ranking America's 50 worst cities.
Let's take a look at who they say are the top 5 worst cities. 5 is Memphis, 4 St. Louis, Flint came in at number 3, and Birmingham, Alabama is number 2.
And I'm sure you can guess what number 1 is, our great city of Detroit. Obviously a ranking most of us would say is completely off base.
Yeah, Steve Garagiola spoke to the author of the report. He joins us live now. Steve, how did he come up with these rankings?
Oh, I got some suggestions about where he went to find this analysis that he used, but we're going to keep this on a professional level. Let's just say most of us disagree. I talked to a lot of folks this afternoon that think his analysis is pretty far off. According to this study by 24/7 Wall Street, based in New York, Detroit is the worst city in America in which to live.
They about never even stepped foot in Detroit.
They didn't.
They about never can. They just did it from, statistical.
Now that's a good point. I called the CEO of this outfit in New York to ask, did anyone actually come to Detroit to research for this study?
No, this is not. We don't go to the cities for a number of reasons.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. He tells me it's based on statistical analysis and that our city has demographic challenges.
That's correct. Yeah, we do. But we're trying to improve constantly. And I think that's shown in the riverfront, in the downtown, in the midtown, and it's starting in the neighborhoods too, where we live.
I thought of a different way to learn about our city. Actually talk to people who live here.
Just look around. It's beautiful here. The people are beautiful. It's home. It's Detroit. There's no other city like Detroit.
I did ask the survey's author, what is your point? He said it's not a warning to America, it's just information. Well, I've got some information for you.
I'll never leave Detroit. I've been here through the good times, been here through the bad times. I live here and I will die in Detroit. So wherever you got your study from, you guys got it so wrong, so wrong.
Okay, so we got to remember that. The important things in rating any city is to not go there or talk to anyone who lives there. And then you'll get a really clear analysis. The interesting thing I thought, though, in talking to people today, nobody was mad. You know, everybody said, you know what, we've been hearing this for a long time. We know who we are and we know where we're going. So
that's right.
They can keep their
Detroit against everybody, like the T-shirt always says.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
We're
That's
tough.
right. We'll take it.
All right, Steve, we
All right,
appreciate it.
guys.
Here's what I think about that survey. You just take it and
Toss
tear it up.
There it goes.
Ball it up.
I love
This is that survey.
He exposed it. They've never been here and talked to anybody. I bet a lot of those are like that.
You know, when we were at the fireworks, when we were talking to Don Was, he said the reputation of Detroit is the new Brooklyn across the United States.
It's actually changing, yeah. So the heck with that survey.
Absolutely. Let's get a check of the great Detroit forecast.
It is phenomenal. The only bad thing about having weather this nice on the 4th of July, you got the windows open to hear your neighbors set off their tank rounds.
Right. And all the dogs that'll be howling and
Oh,
everything,
man.
too. The poor dogs always feel for Independence Day.
We will be getting some nice weather, and there will be a lot of folks with the windows open and the AC off tonight. Look at the difference that this cold front has made as it sinks south. Still a little bit of humidity down here in our south zone, where those dew points are in the mid-60s, but 50s and even 40-degree dew points across the majority of the area right now, and that dry air is going to continue sinking south tonight, so it is going to be a very pleasant evening and an overnight as well. Beautiful day out on the lake. This is out of Woodland Lake. Mary sent us this shot. Where's the fire? Got the speedboat out there. I can't tell how fast he's going, but it looks like he's going pretty fast. A lot of folks enjoying the water over the 4-day holiday weekend, and we have had a nice stretch, and it looks like we're going to finish it up nicely on the 4th as well. 83 right now at Metro. Heat index matching the air temperature as that humidity continues to drop. And again, we're looking for a pretty pleasant night tonight. All the activity is fired along that front, which right now is just off to our south. Looks like one of the rogue showers may just be brushing the state line, but for the most part, the rough stuff has stayed off to our south and will continue to move in that direction. So as we go through the rest of tonight, tomorrow, and all the way through Thursday, we are looking for dry conditions here across the Great Lakes. Should keep a lot of sunshine in the forecast, at least until we get into Wednesday. We'll start mixing it up with some clouds as showers and thunderstorms get close to us, but should stay at bay until Friday. That looks to be our first chance of getting wet in the forecast. 59 is where we're going tonight. Skies will become mostly clear. There are some clouds out there. Those will fade as we get into the overnight hours. High temperatures tomorrow, similar to today, but they have a little bit more of an effect closer to the east side lakes. Upper 70s here from Clinton Township to the city, maybe as warm as 81 out by the airport. South zone temperatures, warmest numbers will be out here in Lenawee County. Coolest numbers towards Lake Erie in the mid 70s. Some of our warmest numbers may actually be in our west zone, especially the western parts of Livingston and Washtenaw counties. Low 80s there, and we will see our coolest numbers, not surprisingly, in the north zone, especially close to Lake Huron. 68 in Lexington tomorrow. Port Huron at 68, and those numbers ranging all the way to the upper 70s. Further inland, you get in our north zone. So temperatures will be staying at or below average all the way through the upcoming next 7 days. The only 2 days we're looking at thunderstorms are going to be Friday and maybe late Sunday. So if you're like us and you had to work during the holiday, well, you've got a pretty nice weekend ahead, except for late Sunday. May get some thunderstorms in.
That looks good.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last forecast that looked that good.
Really nice.
Humidity stays low. That's the even bonus.
Yep. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, man. A speeding train from Amtrak crashes off the tracks. New at 5. Why some passengers on board say the real trouble started after they got to safety.
The first stories from across Michigan, including a tragedy on the west side of the state. That story's next.
Across Michigan tonight, stories from Mackinac Island and Richland Township in Saginaw County.
But we want to start on the west side of the state in Muskegon Heights. That's where an investigation is underway after a 7-year-old boy and a man were both shot. The shooting happened Sunday evening. Police say 7-year-old J. Anthony Bell was outside when he was shot multiple times in the cheek, neck, shoulder, and arm. The man, who was not related to the boy, was also shot multiple times. At this time, no one has been arrested. The boy is expected to be okay.
In Saginaw County, a man had to be airlifted to the hospital after a farming accident. It happened Sunday afternoon in Richland Township. He suffered serious facial injuries after he was hit by part of a tractor. At this time, it's unclear what led up to the accident or what the man's condition is. On Mackinac Island, a man built a giant Lego replica of the Grand Hotel.
Lego designer and engineer David Lorch displayed the 9-foot replica at the Grand Hotel's 130th anniversary celebration this weekend. The replica features American flags lining the world's longest porch, people riding bikes on the front of the property, and the classic red-colored horse-drawn carriages. The replica also includes the chess set on the west end of the Grand Hotel. Yeah.
New at 5:30.
Under arrest, the man who police say shot and killed a teenager in a fit of road rage turns himself in. And you won't believe what police found when they searched his house. Beach battle. Why this photo of New Jersey Governor Chris Christie lounging on the beach is sparking outrage in his state.
The family of the husband and wife killed in the house explosion in Orion Township speak for the first time.
Nicole's live from downtown Detroit. Local 4 News at 5:30 starts now.
Sharing their pain, the daughters of the couple killed in the Orion Township home explosion speaking out and setting the record straight. For the first time, we're hearing from Kathy and Bruce Dominguez's daughters as they cope with the tragic loss of both of their parents.
Last week, the family's home exploded. Neither of them made it out, and today their daughters are thanking the community for the massive show of support and are hoping to put some rumors to rest. Let's get to Coco McAvoy live. Coco, this has to be so hard for them.
Yes, Kimberly and Jason, it's been extremely difficult for them, but the sisters are so strong. 2 of them are in the Air Force, and the third sister wasn't able to make it today. She was inside of the house when it exploded with her parents, and she's obviously very emotionally scarred after that experience. But the sisters just wanted to get together today to spread the truth about their parents and to thank the community for all of their support.
We were our parents' pride and joy, and they did everything for us.
Angeline and Joyce Dominguez expressed their love for their parents, Bruce and Kathy Dominguez.
They loved their German Shepherd like she was our sister. Our mom loved the Broncos, and our dad was a caring father who built that house just for us.
Mom was just the most caring person in the entire world.
Their parents were killed when their home exploded. Their 29-year-old sister, Kimberly, made it out of the house.
Kimberly was rescued by a heroic neighbor as she was not able to safely exit our home on her own.
The sisters wanted to put some rumors to rest.
Our father was a proud Marine veteran who served 3 tours in Vietnam. He was not an avid gun collector, as some reports noted, and he did not store gunpowder in our crawl space. He was not careless in any way and spent his life ensuring our protection and also providing us with the wisdom to protect ourselves.
They're asking for privacy during this difficult time.
Please show respect for our loss and family by not driving past our home just to stare and take photos.
And the sisters say they're depending on each other after such a devastating loss.
With each other's support, the 3 of us have gotten a lot closer. And yes, it was terrible circumstances to get closer, but we're all helping each other.
And the family is having a visitation that's open to the public this Thursday. We'll put the information on our website, clickondetroit.com, along with their GoFundMe page if you'd like to help support them. Back to you.
All right, Coco, I know it's still early, but do investigators know what caused that house explosion?
So investigators say they're still looking into it to be definite, but they say at this point everything is pointing to the installation of the propane tank, that something went wrong with that and possibly caused that explosion.
Yeah, okay. Coco, thanks.
Just into the newsroom, new information coming out about a suspicious fire in Detroit's east side. Police tell Local 4 they're looking for 2 persons of interest in the fire at the Roseberry Apartments. In addition to that fire, a woman living there claims someone broke in, held her at gunpoint, and then set the apartment on fire. The building is between Outer Drive and I-94. The woman escaped unharmed. We'll keep you posted on the search for those 2 persons of interest. The boil water advisory in East Point has been lifted.
The advisory was issued after storms knocked out power Friday night. The power outage caused an issue with water pressure in the city's water system. Some areas of the city even had water shut off. But again, that boil water advisory has been lifted, so your water is safe to drink.
Might be good for the lawn, too. It's nice and warm. Let the kids run through the sprinkler a little bit out there.
Yeah, there are some lawns that definitely need a little bit of water. That's the one thing that is not in our forecast here in the short term. But hey, it's a holiday weekend, and a lot of folks are looking for dry conditions. The thunderstorms have been showing up just off to our south. In fact, we got a couple blips just north of I-80 there. You see that sandwich there between there and Hillsdale County. More thunderstorms. In fact, the stronger stuff is even further to the south, which is closer to the cold front. You see a thunderstorm warning right now out for Findlay. There's a pretty intense thunderstorm rolling through that city right now, heading off to the southeast. So we're under dry conditions tonight, and the rest of tomorrow looks pretty good too. We'll talk about your holiday forecast coming up here in just a few minutes, guys.
The accused shooter in that deadly road rage incident in Pennsylvania has turned himself in. It ends a desperate nationwide manhunt for what police called a savage, senseless, and brutal murder.
We are here to announce murder charges against David Desper.
The mystery man at the center of a dramatic 4-day manhunt is behind bars, charged in the road rage death of 18-year-old Bianca Roberson. Her anguished parents, Michelle and Rodney, hugging investigators as police describe how 28-year-old David Desper allegedly jockeyed with their daughter for one lane of a Pennsylvania highway, as seen on this surveillance video. Police say he shot her in the head and then drove away.
This defendant wasn't happy with the way it was going, so he pulled out a gun and killed this young woman.
Roberson's family is devastated.
She had a heart of gold, and this person that took her took so much out of this world.
Just as authorities got close to identifying the suspect, Desper turned himself in to police Sunday morning. Investigators recovered his red pickup truck and a .40 caliber gun at his home. His neighbors are stunned.
I never put two and two together. I didn't realize that that's the vehicle they were searching for.
Late Sunday, a note outside the home Desper shared with his dad, reading, quote, "Our hearts go out to the Roberson family."
When you found out what happened and found out this is about road rage, what went through your mind?
What's wrong with people's minds today that we flip out like that?
And Desper is being held without bail, facing a slew of charges, including first and third degree murder. His preliminary hearing is set for July 13th.
A much different atmosphere at Wimbledon this year. With London still reeling from terrorist attacks, security is high at tennis's premier event. Highly visible police, bomb-sniffing dogs, and the latest security technology are in place to protect players and fans during the two-week competition. Despite that security, though, police want to reassure the public.
Can I feel safe?
I think so, and I would urge you to feel safe. You look around and you'll see police officers visibly, some armed, some unarmed. We've got a range of specialists from across the Met working on this event at different times of the day and night.
Many of the top players in the tournament say they do feel safe and will be able to concentrate on tennis. Amtrak has resumed service on rails south of Seattle after a Sunday derailment.
The train was on its way from Vancouver to Eugene, Oregon. 4 of the train's 15 cars left the tracks, and other cars were left leaning on a track section with water on both sides. Amazingly, nobody was hurt in all that.
Then all of a sudden I feel shuddering, and they slam on the brakes, and we're all of a sudden tilted, and everything that my husband had on the tray table goes sliding down.
Guy on the train came through and said, okay, the folks on the low side get over onto the high side so the whole thing doesn't topple over.
It's not known how fast that train was going, but the speed limit on that track is 50 miles per hour.
A man was taken into custody this morning in Florida after he carjacked a limo and then crashed it. Orlando police were flagged down by the limo driver, who told them he was pulled out of his Ford Excursion by a man who then took off in it. Witnesses spotted the limo truck driving the wrong way down the street before it crashed into a building in downtown Orlando. The limo driver suffered minor injuries. No word on the injuries to the suspect.
Tesla is set to release its first mass-market electronic vehicle this week. Company CEO Elon Musk tweeted that the Model 3 has passed all of its requirements. The first one is expected to be finished Friday. Tesla's plan is to produce 100 versions in August and 20,000 in December. Pre-orders for these cars were opened about a year ago, and more than 300,000 people have already placed a deposit. The electronic vehicles cost $35,000, which is much less than the previous models. Looks good. China's space program has suffered a setback.
It involved the launch of a new heavy lift rocket. That rocket left the launch pad smoothly on Sunday and could be seen climbing toward orbit, carrying the heaviest satellite China has ever launched. But an official announcement later said an anomaly occurred and the mission failed. It offered no more details. China has been planning to use the new rocket later this year to launch a probe to land on the moon and bring back soil samples. Drivers across Michigan can go the extra mile this holiday period.
AAA Michigan reports gasoline prices are down. The average price for gas across the state stands at $2.29 per gallon. That's down 7 cents from prices last week, the second largest weekly price drop nationwide, and down 22 cents from the price Michigan drivers were paying just 1 month ago.
The TSA has a new tool it says will make flying a whole lot easier.
New tonight what it is and how it could make boarding a plane as easy as smiling for the camera.
And talk about an adorable rescue, what these firefighters took to safety as a wildfire raged around them.
But first, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie caught up in a brand new controversy, and it's all over this photo of him hanging out on the beach. We'll explain next.
We are in